Okay, so friends, today we are going to discuss the GS History Mains question of 2025. Now this time they have asked only 6 questions from GS, history section. Earlier it was 10 questions sometimes or 8 questions. But as we have seen that this time in prelims they have asked more number of questions, 16 questions they have asked this time. So always UPSC tries to make some balance between prelims and mains, so that like people coming from history or you can say geography or political science, they would not have that much benefit or upper age. So here we find that this time only 6 questions are there, and all the questions prima facie they seem to be very easier question. But when you will be trying to write the answer, they are not very easy to write. When the questions are easy, the answer should be not easy to write. Getting the point? Because all people would be almost trying to write the same material, same content. And there, in that case, you have to make a very structured, well-structured answer. Otherwise, you will not have upper hand. You will not have more marks. So that's why the structuring of this kind of question is very, very important, and which is not very easy task for you. Now, when we analyze this question, before that, I would like to make it very clear that there is no any golden rule to write the answer. Getting the point? So many people believe, or many people claim that they are providing the model answer. But in humanities, there is no concept of model answer. In mathematics, it could be there, because in mathematics, you can get 10 marks out of 10. But here, you cannot get. Getting the point? So, the answer would be always subjective, and the model answer concept is not a very much concrete thing. But you would be getting some kind of, you can say, sense of writing answer from the letters and spirit of the questions. So, don't be driven by the concept of model answer, because all people have different model answers, and that's why now if you want to write this kind of question, the first thing is that you must have thoroughly gone from the original books, original text, because all these questions could be answered from the content which are very much there in NCERT books. All things are there. The only thing is that there is no structure. So you have to bring the things, incorporate the things together, and then you would be writing the answer. So, the important thing is that you must understand how to structure the answer, and that would be basically driven by the, you can say, letters and esprit of the questions only. So you see, one question they have asked from world history part: the French Revolution has enduring relevance to the contemporary world. So one question from world history part. The second question they have asked, I have changed the chronology only. Second question they have asked from modern India, means Mahatma Jyotirao Phule's writing and efforts of social reforms touch issues of almost all subaltern classes. So subaltern classes, you know that we have studied in the class various schools of history writing. So one school was subaltern school, and subaltern means subordinates, means history of the lower strata of the society, lower strata of the society. It means that Jyotiba Phule has tried to touch various sections of the society which are there on the lower strata of the society. So like lower strata of the society means women, depressed class, and along with that lower caste. So in his writing and his efforts for reforms, that would be basically incorporated, and that's why this question is related to that aspect of socio-religious reform movement. The third question, it's related to post-independence phase, means the efforts made by the newly made governments of India in various regards. So this is one important thing. And then after we find that there is one question which is related to Akbar religious policy, means Akbar's religious syncretism. Now, when we talk about Akbar religious syncretism, we find that this is directly based on the religious policy of Akbar. Now, this question is not expected to be asked in general studies, because it is very much related to the optional students only. But in the name of art and culture, now UPSC is getting question from anywhere. It means that the syllabus of an art and culture is not very much limited. Getting the point? So that's why this question they have taken in the name of art and culture, though it is not actually related to art and culture, but as you can say the religion and the attire, the food habits, the language, literature, these are the part of, you can say the part of culture. So that's why they have taken this question. And then there is another question that is from you can say ancient history. So Harappan architecture, it is from art and architecture and culture. And then the sculptors field the Chandela. So Chandela is also a pre-medieval, or you can say Rajput kingdom, you can say syllabus. So these are 6 questions coming from different parts of history. So world history, one question is from modern history, one question is from post-independence, that is also part of modern history, and then one question is from medieval history, Akbar's religious policy, one question is from Harappan civilization, is ancient, and then the Chandela contribution, Chandela was the Rajput kings. So these are different questions. Now when we talk about the structure making or how to approach the, you can say, answer. So the first question we can take, the first question is world history question, means the relevance of French Revolution. Now this question is having how many marks? 15 marks. 15 marks question. So when you have to approach this question, we find that you have to break the different dimensions of the question. So first part would be introduction part. And then you can say the relevance in various fields. So religion means political relevance, political sphere, relevance in political sphere, relevance in social sphere, political sphere, social sphere. Then you can say economic sphere, then religious sphere, then cultural and intellectual sphere. So this has to be written. You will be breaking down the question in different dimensions. So introduction part. Now this question is related to the, you can say, positive aspects of the French Revolution. So French Revolution was having basically 2 types of impact, internal impact and external impact, first thing. And the impact was witnessed in short term and long term. So there are some limitation in the short term. So we can say that though we can write here in the introduction that French Revolution was a turning point. French Revolution was a turning point in the history of mankind. French Revolution was a turning point in the history of mankind. It changed not only France, but in the entire world in the passage of time. It changed not only France, but the entire world in the passage of time. Though there were some limitations, of French Revolution. There were some limitations of French Revolution in the context of its immediate outcome. In the context of its immediate outcome. But in the long run, it proved a game changer. In the long run, it proved a game changer. So you can make your own introduction, taking the words or taking the spirit or letters of the question. So you introduce the question like this. Now when we talk about the relevance, means the significance of the revolution, the positive side of the revolution to the contemporary world. So we find that it contributed in political sphere, social sphere, economic sphere, religious sphere, and cultural and intellectual sphere. Now when we talk about the political sphere, So what are the important, you can say, contribution of French Revolution to the mankind? The first thing, that French Revolution, after the French Revolution in 1793, Republic was established. So Republic and democracy. Republic and democracy. These values, the values of Republic and democracy could be traced out from French Revolution. And you know that here you can mention that basically the watchwords of French Revolution. Watchwords of French Revolution is liberty, equality and fraternity, which are taken from the writings of Rousseau. So these watchwords of the French Revolution, as they are universal values. The watchwords of the French Revolution, they were universal values. They are everlasting values, universal values, everlasting values, encompassing values, encompassing values. So therefore, they would be always relevant to the entire world. And that's why they contributed in almost all spheres of life. So due to the encompassing nature of the watchwords of the French Revolution, we find that in political sphere, there is a concept of republic, democracy is there. Along with this, we know that separation of power. Separation of power was another important element related to the French Revolution. The separation of power doctrine was very much emphasized by Montesquieu, though for the first time it was implemented in America after the American Revolution. But Montesquieu belongs to France, and that's why after the revolution in France also separation of power was established and republican government was established. And before that republican government, you see, parliamentary monarchy was established after the revolution in 1789. So political, you can say, outcome which are very much relevant to the contemporary world are democracy, republic, and the separation of power. Getting the point? Along with this, we find that the meritocracy, merit-based recruitment, that is also an important contribution of French Revolution, which was followed by the world later on. Merit-based recruitment. Now, when we talk about the social sphere related contribution, so social justice was emphasized. Social justice was emphasized. Birth-based equality, birth-based privileges, basically birth-based privileges were abolished. Birth-based privileges were abolished. Social status of lower strata of the society improved. Social status of lower strata of the society improved, and this would be followed by the entire world in the passage of time. So these are the social contribution. Means birth-based privileges abolished in the passage of time. It would be witnessed throughout the world. And then along with this, in the French colonies, slavery was abolished. So slavery, abolition of slavery in the French colony. So this would be also a very important contribution of French Revolution. In economic field, just and fair taxation system was introduced. Just and fair taxation system was introduced. And exemption of taxes of privileges classes, exemption of taxes of the privileges classes, related provisions also abolished. Related provisions were also abolished. So they are also a great, you can say, relevant to the entire mankind. Along with that, religion means separation of politics and religion. Means secularism. Voltaire, the French Revolution philosopher Voltaire was champion of secularism. He attacked the privileges of church. So the concept of secularism was emphasized by the French Revolution, which would be benefiting the rest of the world. And along with this, we find that the intellectual contribution, means the great philosophers of the time, Rousseau, Montesquieu, Voltaire, Diderot, Quesnay, all contributed. Rousseau, na? So Rousseau talked about people's sovereignty, general will, in his book Social Contract. Montesquieu emphasized concept of separation of power. Voltaire emphasis on secularism, means separation between politics and religion. Quesnay, he was an economist philosopher, so he said that only agriculture should be taxed. And then Diderot, so Diderot, encyclopedia, he was the editor of French encyclopedia. So all these values, all these, you can say, efforts of the philosophers, they are still relevant throughout the world. So you can write this also. And then when we talk about the, you can say, cultural contribution, we find that first thing is that after the French Revolution, many values of the French Revolution were incorporated in different countries. It provides also the opportunity for cultural mingling. Cultural mingling, because the French colonies were also having some privileges now. The better treatment would be done by the French. So this would be creating, I can say, a kind of liberal perception for French people. So all these things happened. So therefore, these are the important, you can say, relevant of French Revolution. As the French Revolution was having universal values, encompassing values, so always the entire mankind would be grateful to the French Revolution. Got the point? Means probably no revolution had made that much changes, no revolution had brought that much encompassing value which were brought by the French Revolution. That's why even today we are grateful to French Revolution, because the values are encompassing. When we talk about liberty, equality and fraternity, there could not be the other demands except of them. The declaration of, you can say, rights of man and citizen, which was brought by French people after the revolution, it became the aspirations of the entire Europe and later on the entire world. We find that the nationalism was also strengthened by the French Revolution, and so unification of Italy and Germany was influenced by this. And after that, the entire Europe and rest part of the world would be taking inspiration from the French Revolution. Getting the point? So therefore, it is a very important, you can say, question, and that is for 15, you can say, marks. So that's why 200 words or 250 words. So that's why you have to write extensively also. Now you have to be very cautious when the question is, you can say, very short question. So in short question 150 words, so only keywords to be mentioned. Means the nature of the short question would be different from nature of the long question. Here in the short question, your language would be indicative. You have to establish that you know, but you don't try to describe all the things you know. Got the point? Examiner would be, it would be conveyed to the examiner. But here you have to come with some details also, because it is 250 words question. Okay. So this is the first question